My son pushed me off the church steps and said, "You're a burden now, Mom." It was my husband's funeral, and I wasn't allowed to say goodbye. I stood outside trembling while the man I loved for 45 years was buried because my own son erased me. And what hurts most? I paid for his wedding, I bailed him out of debt, and I stayed up every night beside his father's hospital bed. I'm Ellie, 73, and I thought I'd lost everything. Until I opened my husband's old prayer book and found a note. "Trust me, Ellie." That note led to a hidden will, a lawyer, and a voice recording that exposed everything my son tried to hide. If you've ever felt invisible, if your love was tossed aside, don't scroll. This story might be the wake-up call you didn't know you needed. Before I share what happened next, can I ask, are you watching this at home, on a walk, or maybe curled up in bed? Wherever you are, I want you to feel seen. Leave me a comment below. Just tell me something simple, like where you're from or how you're feeling today. I read every word, and your story might shape the next chapter I share. Let's walk through this together. My son pushed me from St. Joseph's steps, his voice cold. "You're a burden now, Mom." How did I lose my place at my husband's funeral? Victor's whisper lingered in my mind, soft as the September breeze. "Ellie, you're my anchor." I clung to that memory, hoping he'd left me something to hold on to. A mother's heart shattered by betrayal. The autumn air bit my cheeks as I stood outside St. Joseph's Church, suburban Virginia, September 2024. Leaves rustled across the sidewalk, red and gold like scattered memories. Organ hymns drifted through stained glass windows, their mournful notes twisting my heart. Mourners in black coats shuffled past, their whispers sharp in the crisp morning. I gripped my purse, fingers trembling, my eyes fixed on the church steps where I wasn't allowed to tread. Those steps, cold and gray, stood between me and Victor, my husband of 45 years, lying in a casket inside. I was Ellie Martinez, 73, a mother, a wife, now a stranger. My chest ached with grief, not just for Victor, but for the family I thought I'd built. Nathan, my son, had barred me from saying goodbye. His words, his push, cut deeper than the autumn chill. I wanted to scream, to demand my place, but my voice stayed locked in my throat. Was I really a burden, as he claimed? My heart whispered no, but doubt gnawed at me, questioning every sacrifice I'd made. Nathan, 38, stood tall at the church doors, his suit crisp, his face hard. Debt weighed him down, college loans I'd paid, a wedding I'd funded, but he saw only my shadow, not my love. He wanted Victor's estate, his pride blinding him to the mother who'd given everything. Lila, my daughter, 35, wasn't here. Her absence stung, tied to that birthday I'd missed, stuck at Victor's hospital bed. Guilt flickered in my mind, but her silence hurt more. Gloria Thompson, my neighbor, 70, tried to reach me, her own daughter's estrangement making her see my pain. Victor, gone but ever present, loomed in my heart, his love the only strength I had left. Hurt consumed me, a heavy fog as Nathan's cruelty compounded my grief. I stood frozen, indignation sparking as mourners' eyes darted my way. How could a son erase his mother? The audience, women like me, would feel this sting, their anger rising at Nathan's disrespect. I clutched my purse, tears blurring the church's steeple. The hymn swelled, "Amazing Grace," a song Victor and I sang every Sunday. Nathan blocked the steps, his broad shoulders a wall. "You're a burden now, Mom," he snapped, his voice slicing through the murmurs. "You failed, Dad." He pushed my arm, not hard, but enough to make me stumble. I gasped. Victor was my life, my voice breaking. Mourners froze, their whispers halting. Nathan turned away, his jaw tight, leading the procession inside. I stood rooted, my black coat flapping in the wind, my heart shattering. I closed my eyes, picturing Victor's last birthday, our suburban home alive with the scent of grilled chicken. I'd spent hours cooking, decorating, my hands floured from baking his cake. Nathan barely noticed, grumbling about hospital bills. "You're always hovering, Mom." Lila, distracted, left early, her eyes avoiding mine. Had I been too focused on Victor to see their distance growing? Love, I thought, should hold a family together, but mine was slipping through my fingers. Gloria's gray hair appeared through the crowd, her weathered face soft with concern. She stepped toward me, her coat brushing the leaves. "Ellie, you shouldn't be out here," she started, but Nathan intercepted, his voice low. "She's unstable, Gloria. Let it be." He steered her inside, her glance back full of pity. I pressed myself against a lamppost, watching Victor's casket through a window, its polished wood glinting. "Why Victor?" I whispered, my breath fogging the glass. My fingers, numb, fumbled in my purse, pulling out his old prayer book, its leather worn from years of Sundays. A folded note slipped from the prayer book, scrawled with, "For Ellie." My heart skipped, my hands trembling as I held it. Nathan's push, his words. "You failed, Daz," or echoed. A public shaming that burned my cheeks. The audience would rage at this. A mother denied her husband's farewell. But that note, small and fragile, sparked a flicker of hope. Victor's love hadn't left me. I was more than a burden, more than a shadow. I had to find out what he'd planned. Gloria's attempt to reach me, her own estrangement echoing my pain, offered a thread of hope. Nathan's greed, dismissing my decades of care, set the stage for our clash. Lila's absence, tied to her missed birthday, hinted at guilt I couldn't yet reach. Victor's note, his memory, whispered of support beyond the grave, urging me to fight for my place. Maternal love, I realized, wasn't just giving, it was standing firm. Was I ever their mother, or just a shadow in their story? I murmured, the question hanging in the air. The hymns faded, the hearse pulling away. I unfolded the note, my fingers shaking. "Trust me, Ellie," it read in Victor's familiar scrawl. What secret did he hide? Nathan slapped my papers away, snarling, "You're nothing to us now." Victor's words lingered. "Trust me, Ellie." Could he still save me? Victor's voice echoed from years past, warm and steady. "I've got you, Ellie." That promise tucked in his prayer book note felt like a lifeline in this storm. Stripped of my place in our home rain tapped the windows of our suburban Virginia home, 2024, turning the dining room into a cold, unfamiliar place. Family photos lined the walls, Victor and I at our wedding, Nathan's graduation, Lila's prom, mocking my loss with their frozen smiles. The mahogany table, once warm with holiday dinners, now gleamed like a courtroom bench. A ticking clock sliced through the silence, each second sharpening my dread. I stood in the doorway, clutching Victor's financial papers, my hands trembling. This was our home, mine and Victor's, for 45 years, but today it felt like enemy territory. I was Ellie Martinez, 73, a mother stripped of her place. Nathan's cruelty at the funeral last week, pushing me, calling me a burden, still burned. I'd given everything for my family, sacrificing art school, pouring love into Nathan and Lila. Now Nathan saw only dollar signs, his debt from a failed business, and lavish wedding blinding him. Lila, my daughter, wasn't here, her absence tied to that birthday I missed, stuck at Victor's hospital bed. Her guilt, hinted in a voicemail, was a faint hope. James Delgado, Victor's attorney, waited in my thoughts, his calm voice promising answers. I needed to reclaim my worth, to prove I was more than a shadow. Ever felt like your whole life could be erased with one sentence? If you've made it this far, drop a 5 in the comments, because what he does next might just leave you breathless. You need to see this part. Hurt gripped me, heavy as the rain outside, deepened by Nathan's rejection. But Victor's note, "Trust me, Ellie," sparked resolve, a flicker of defiance. Women like me, watching from their armchairs, would feel this wound, their anger flaring at a son's betrayal of his mother's love. I stepped into the dining room, my heels clicking on the hardwood. Nathan sat at the table's head, Victor's place, papers spread before him like a judge. His suit was sharp, his eyes cold. "Ellie," he said, not looking up, "this meeting's for family with a stake." I held up Victor's financial papers, bank statements, the house deed, my voice steady. "I'm your mother, Nathan. I belong here." He stood, snatching the folder, his face twisting. "You're nothing to us now," he snarled, slapping the papers from my hands. They fluttered to the floor, receipts and deeds scattering. I stumbled back, gasping, "I'm your mother." Nathan smirked. "Not anymore." My knees buckled, the clock's ticks pounding in my ears. I closed my eyes, rain drumming outside. I saw myself in Victor's hospital room, months ago, organizing his pills, adjusting his blanket. Nathan had stormed in, snapping, "You're suffocating him, Mom." His voice dripped with scorn, blaming me for Victor's pain. Lila, visiting briefly, had stood by the door, her eyes downcast, leaving without a word. I'd thought she was just busy, but her absence, tied to missing her 30th birthday for Victor's care, had cut deep. Had I failed them both? Love, I thought, should bind us, not break us. But Nathan's greed was tearing us apart. In my car, rain blurred the windshield, mirroring my tears. My phone buzzed, Lila's voicemail. I played it, her voice soft. "Mom, I'm so sorry. I was wrong to pull away." My heart lifted, then sank. Could I trust her regret? I dialed James Delgado, Victor's attorney, my fingers shaking. "Ellie," he said, his voice calm. "Victor left instructions for you." I unfolded the prayer book note from the funeral, its words sharp. "Trust me, Ellie." My pulse raced. James added, "He had a private meeting with me, Ellie, about you." Nathan's slap, his words, "You're nothing," still stung, a public dismissal that would make any mother's blood boil. The audience, women who'd poured their hearts into their families, would clench their fists at this betrayal. But Lila's voicemail, fragile as it was, and James's hint, lit a spark. Victor hadn't abandoned me. I wasn't nothing. Nathan's financial desperation, born of his failed business and wedding debts I'd helped pay, fueled his cruelty, dismissing my decades of care. Lila's voicemail, tied to her birthday regret, hinted at a bridge we might rebuild, a flicker of maternal love. Victor's note and James's words deepened his posthumous support, whispering I was worth fighting for. I gripped the note, my resolve stirring. I'd been a mother, a wife, but I was still Ellie. I had to find out what Victor planned. Did I raise him to hate me, or did he choose this? I whispered, the question heavy in the damp air. James's voice came through the phone again. Victor planned for this moment, Ellie. Come see me. What was his plan? Nathan humiliated me at the farmer's market. You never cared about Dad. Sophie's text glowed. I love you, Grandma. Could my family still see me? Victor's words echoed, soft but firm. You're stronger than you know, Ellie. That promise, tucked in his prayer book note, urged me to keep going. Fighting to be seen as a mother. The farmer's market buzzed with life, suburban Virginia, 2024. Apple pie scents wafted from stalls, warm and sweet, mingling with the laughter of children chasing each other past baskets of pumpkins. The autumn sun cast golden light, but my heart felt cold, isolated amidst the crowd. Shoppers bustled, their bags crinkling, voices bright. I stood by a pie stall, my black scarf fluttering, feeling like a ghost in this vibrant scene. Later, Gloria's living room offered solace, the steam from her teapot curling in the air, her worn couch, a haven of warmth against my pain. I was Ellie Martinez, 73, a mother questioning her place. Nathan's cruelty, pushing me at Victor's funeral, slapping my papers away, cut deep. His pride, fed by career failures and debts I'd helped cover, painted me as outdated, my sacrifices invisible. Lila, my daughter, stayed away, her absence tied to missing her 30th birthday for Victor's hospital stay. Her voicemail hinted at remorse, a faint light. Sophie, my 15-year-old granddaughter, sent love through texts, her baking memories with me a lifeline. Gloria, my neighbor, 70, understood my hurt, her own daughter's estrangement fueling her empathy. I needed to fight for my dignity, to be seen as their mother, not a shadow. Hurt pulsed through me, sharp as the market's chatter, Nathan's attack deepening my wounds. Sophie's text and Gloria's words sparked tentative resolve, stirring indignation in women like me, watching, their hearts aching for a mother scorned. I lingered by the pie stall, the scent of apples grounding me. Nathan appeared, his face taut, eyes narrow. "You never cared about Dad," he shouted loud enough for shoppers to turn. "You don't get how the world works, Mom." My cheeks burned, hands clutching my scarf. "I gave him everything," I retorted, voice cracking. Head swiveled, a woman with a pumpkin basket frowning. Nathan scoffed, "You're stuck in the past." I stepped back, my heart pounding, Lila's voicemail buzzing in my pocket. "Mom, I was wrong." The words felt distant, drowned by Nathan's venom. In Gloria's living room, the teapot hissed, steam curling like hope. I sank into her couch, my hands shaking as I recounted Nathan's words. Gloria, her gray hair pulled back, leaned forward, her eyes fierce. "You're no burden, Ellie," she said, her voice thick with her own pain, years without her daughter. "Fight for yourself. Victor would want that." My phone lit up with Sophie's text. "Dad's wrong, Grandma. I love you." I gripped the screen, tears blurring her words. Gloria nodded. "You've got people in your corner." Her encouragement, born of her own loss, felt like a lifeline. Love, I thought, should lift us, not tear us down. The memory hit hard. Lila's 30th birthday, me stuck at Victor's hospital, monitors beeping. I'd called her, promising to celebrate later, but she'd left in tears, thinking I chose Victor over her. Had I lost her then? I stared at Sophie's text, her love a bridge across generations. My eyes caught Victor's old diary on Gloria's shelf, its leather cover worn. A page was marked, a corner folded. My breath caught, fingers brushing the spine. Nathan's public attack at the market, his words slicing through the crowd, deepened my hurt, a wound any mother would feel. The audience, women who'd given their all, would clench their fists, outraged at his dismissal. But Sophie's text, Gloria's fierce support, ignited resolve. I wasn't just a caretaker forgotten. I was a mother, fighting to be seen. Nathan's pride, rooted in his failed business and debts, fueled his cruelty, dismissing my years of care. Lila's voicemail, tied to her birthday hurt, promised reconciliation, a spark of maternal love. Sophie's text, born of our baking Sundays, offered hope. Her loyalty, a generational tie. Gloria's encouragement, shaped by her estrangement, pushed me forward. I reached for the diary, my hands steady. Was I their mother, or just a caretaker they forgot? I whispered, the question heavy in Gloria's quiet room. I opened Victor's diary, the marked page staring back. Protect Ellie from Nathan. What did he know? Victor's diary whispered, protect Ellie. Nathan's threat echoed, back off, Mom. Could I trust my husband's hidden plan? Victor's touch, warm from years ago, came back to me. I'll always protect you, Ellie. Those words, paired with his diary's plea, felt like a shield against the storm. Uncovering my husband's truth. James Delgado's law office, suburban Virginia, 2024, smelled of polished oak and old paper. Shelves lined with legal files loomed behind his desk, and a clock ticked steadily, its rhythm steadying my nerves. The authority of the room pressed against me, a reminder of the answers I sought. Back home, Victor's desk sat cluttered with his pens, notepads, and a small radio playing soft jazz, the notes of Blue Moon drifting like memories. The living room, with its faded curtains and family photos, held my search for truth, each corner heavy with Victor's absence. I was Ellie Martinez, 73, a mother determined to uncover Victor's plan. Nathan's cruelty, pushing me at the funeral, slapping my papers, shouting at the farmer's market, had left scars. His debt, from a failed business and a wedding I'd helped fund, fueled his greed, painting me as outdated, my sacrifices worthless. Lila, my daughter, sent a text, her remorse over missing her birthday's stirring hope. Gloria, my neighbor, 70, called with encouragement, her own daughter's estrangement making her my anchor. James, Victor's attorney, held secrets I needed. I was done being invisible. I'd fight for my place. Hurt was giving way to anger, Nathan's threat stoking a fire in my chest. Victor's diary, with its promise to protect me, fueled my resolve. Women like me, listening in their quiet homes, would feel this shift, frustrated by a son's dismissal of his mother's love. In James's office, the clock ticked like a heartbeat. I sat across his desk, my scarf twisted in my hands. "Nathan humiliated me at the market," I said, my voice shaking, "called me uncaring." James, his gray hair neat, leaned forward, eyes kind but firm. "Victor planned for you, Ellie. He was meticulous." His words landed like a promise, but he held back, his pen tapping. "We'll address that soon," he added. I nodded, my fingers tightening. Could Victor's plan undo Nathan's cruelty? Trust, I thought, was the root of love, but mine was being tested. At home, the jazz radio hummed, blue moon weaving through the air. I sat at Victor's desk, his diary open. The marked page read, "Nathan's lying about Ellie." My breath caught, anger flaring. Nathan burst through the front door, his boots heavy on the hardwood. "Back off, Mom, or you'll regret it." He loomed, his voice low, eyes hard. I stood, clutching the diary. "I'm your mother, not your enemy," I snapped, my heart pounding. He scoffed, "You're stuck in the old days." The door slammed as he left, the jazz notes trembling. Gloria called, her voice warm. "Don't let him win, Ellie. I lost my daughter to pride. You're stronger." Her estrangement, a mirror to my pain, pushed me forward. My phone buzzed, Lila's text, "I'll help you, Mom. I was wrong." My eyes stung, her birthday absence flashing back. I'd missed it, stuck at Victor's hospital, choosing his care over her celebration. Had I failed her? I turned back to the diary, my fingers brushing a small key taped inside. My heart raced. I saw us, years ago, slow dancing to jazz in this room, Victor promising a European trip we never took, delayed by Nathan's wedding costs. The key gleamed, a symbol of Victor's hidden plan. Nathan's threat, "You'll regret it," echoed, a knife to my maternal heart. The audience, women who'd sacrificed for their families, would bristle at his cruelty, their fists clenched. But Gloria's call, Lila's text, and Victor's diary lit a fire. I wasn't just a mother scorned, I was Ellie, fighting for truth. Nathan's greed, rooted in his debts and pride, saw me as a barrier, dismissing my years of care. Lila's text, tied to her birthday regret, promised reconciliation, a thread of maternal love. Gloria's encouragement, shaped by her lost daughter, urged me to stand tall. Victor's diary, his key, whispered of protection beyond the grave. I held the key, my resolve hardening. "Have I ever been enough for my children?" I murmured, the question heavy in the quiet room. If you found out your own child tried to erase you, what would hurt more, the betrayal or the lie? This part still burns when I think about it. If you're still here, drop a 6 in the comments so I know I'm not alone. What I read next changed everything. The key fit a locked box in Victor's desk, its click loud against the jazz. What secrets did it hold? Victor's letter burned. "Nathan called you unfit." Sophie hugged me, whispering, "You're my real family grandma." What else did my husband know? Victor's promise, warm as a summer night, echoed, "You're my heart, Ellie." His diary's hint of protection pushed me forward, a beacon in my anger, facing my son's betrayal. My living room, suburban Virginia, 2024, felt heavy with secrets. Victor's armchair sat empty, its worn leather a silent witness. Family photos on the mantel, our wedding, Nathan's graduation, Lila's prom, stared down, their smiles hollow. The silence pressed against me, broken only by the tick of a clock. Later, the suburban park offered hope, its swings creaking in the autumn breeze, leaves rustling underfoot. Children's laughter mingled with the scent of pine, a fleeting warmth against my turmoil. I was Ellie Martinez, 73, a mother fueled by anger. Nathan's cruelty, pushing me at the funeral, slapping my papers, shouting at the market, had carved wounds deep. His debts from a business I'd helped fund turned him against me, labeling me unfit, outdated. Sophie, my 15-year-old granddaughter, clung to me, her love rooted in our baking Sundays. Lila, my daughter, sent texts of remorse, her absence at her birthday haunting us both. James Delgado, Victor's attorney, held the truth I needed. I'd exposed Nathan's lies. I was done being erased. Anger surged, hot and sharp as Victor's letter laid bare Nathan's betrayal. Sophie's loyalty softened the edge, pushing me to act. Women like me, listening in their quiet homes, would feel this outrage, their hearts pounding at a son's deceit. In the living room, I sat at Victor's desk, the key from his diary cold in my hand. The box clicked open, revealing a letter in his shaky scrawl. "Nathan called you unfit, Ellie. I didn't believe him." My breath caught, anger flaring. James knocked, his gray suit crisp. "Nathan tried to cut you out," he said, his voice steady. "He told Victor you had dementia." I gasped. My own son? My hands shook, clutching the letter. James nodded. Victor documented everything. My heart pounded, the clock's ticks loud. Could I face this truth? Betrayal, I thought, cuts deeper than loss, but love endures. The park swings creaked as I met Sophie, her sneakers kicking leaves. She hugged me, her warmth grounding. "Dad's in debt, Grandma," she said, eyes bright. "He's wrong about you." We sat on a bench, the air sharp with pine. I saw us baking cookies, her small hands shaping dough, giggling over my stories. "You're my real family," she whispered. My phone buzzed. Lila's text. "I'm so sorry I doubted you, Mom." My eyes stung, her birthday absence flashing back. I'd chosen Victor's hospital bed over her party, and she'd pulled away. Sophie's hand squeezed mine, her loyalty a lifeline. In my mind, I was back in Victor's hospital room, adjusting his pillows, monitors beeping. Nathan had whispered to Victor, "Mom's forgetful, Dad." I'd thought he was tired, not scheming. Victor's eyes, sharp despite pain, had met mine, rejecting Nathan's lies. I hadn't known. Back in the living room, my anger flared, voice firm. "Nathan won't erase me." I rummaged in the box, finding a USB drive nestled among papers. My pulse raced, fingers brushing its cold edge. Nathan's lies, claiming I was unfit, deepened the injustice, a dagger to my maternal heart. The audience, women who'd poured love into their families, would see that this deceit, their anger mirroring mine. Sophie's hug, Lila's text, James's confirmation fueled my resolve. I wasn't just a mother betrayed, I was Ellie, fighting for truth. Nathan's desperation, tied to his failed business and wedding debts, drove his lies, escalating our clash. Lila's text, rooted in her birthday regret, promised reconciliation, a spark of maternal love. Sophie's loyalty, born of our baking Sundays, offered hope, tying generations. Victor's letter, his foresight, affirmed my worth, protecting me beyond the grave. I held the USB, my anger a steady flame. How could my son rewrite my love for Victor? I whispered, the question sharp in the quiet room. I plugged in the USB, Nathan's voice crackling through, "Mom's out of the picture." What else was recorded? Victor's will gave me everything. Nathan only $10,000. His recorded voice schemed, "Mom's out." Could I face my son at the will reading? Victor's words, warm and clear, echoed from years past. "Live your life, Ellie." His letter, burning with truth, pushed me to reclaim my place, reclaiming my rightful place. Gloria's Kitchen, Suburban Virginia, 2024, wrapped me in warmth. Coffee bubbled in the pot, its rich aroma mingling with the sweet scent of her homemade chocolate chip cookies, cooling on a rack. The checkered curtains fluttered, letting in soft autumn light. Later, my living room, with Victor's photos on the mantel and a radio playing soft jazz, Moonlight Serenade, felt alive with hope. The space, once heavy with grief, now hummed with resolve, each note a step toward truth. I was Ellie Martinez, 73, a mother done with being erased. Nathan's betrayal, pushing me at the funeral, slapping my papers, shouting at the market, had lit a fire in me. His debts from a business I'd propped up and a wedding I'd helped pay for drove his greed, casting me as outdated. Lila, my daughter, had come back to me, her remorse over missing her birthday a bridge we were rebuilding. Sophie, my 15-year-old granddaughter, sent love through photos, our baking Sundays tying us tight. Gloria, my neighbor, 70, cheered me on, her own daughter's estrangement fueling her fire. James Delgado, Victor's attorney, held the key to my fight. I'd honor Victor's trust, no matter what. Anger hardened into resolve, Victor's will a sword in my hand. Lila's support, Sophie's love, pushed me toward the will reading. Women like me, listening in their cozy homes, would feel this shift, their hearts racing for justice against a son's betrayal. In Gloria's kitchen, the coffee pot hissed, steam curling like a promise. James sat across from me, his gray suit crisp, his voice steady. "Victor's will leaves you the estate, Ellie," he said. "Nathan gets 10,000, forfeitable if he contests it." My fists clenched, my breath sharp. He handed me Victor's letter, its pages trembling in my hands. "Nathan planned to erase you at my funeral." I whispered, "He won't win." Gloria's eyes gleamed. "You're unstoppable, Ellie." My heart pounded, the cookie's sweetness sharp against my anger. Could I face Nathan with this truth? Courage, I thought, grows from love, not just pain. Lila knocked, her face tear-streaked, stepping into my living room where jazz played softly. "I should have trusted you, Mom," she said, voice breaking. "I was wrong about your absence at my birthday." I hugged her, my eyes wet. She'd pulled away when I missed her 30th, stuck at Victor's hospital, but now she stood with me. Gloria, sipping coffee, cheered. "You're a force, Ellie." I saw us years ago, Victor and I planning a European cruise, laughter over coffee delayed by Nathan's wedding costs. Lila's hand squeezed mine, her remorse a balm. Sophie's text pinged, a photo of Nathan's old letter captioned, "Dad's hiding something." Yisa, the radio's jazz swelled. Moonlight Serenade, wrapping the room. I plugged in Victor's USB from the box, Nathan's voice crackling, "Mom's out of the picture." My jaw tightened, anger flaring. Sophie's photo, showing Nathan's letter, lay on the table, its words sharp. "Dad's will is wrong." Lila gasped. "He's been lying for years." I nodded, planning for the will reading, the jazz steadying my pulse. I wasn't just a mother scorned, I was Ellie, ready to fight. Nathan's recorded scheme, planning my exclusion from Victor's funeral, was a knife to my heart. The audience, women who'd poured love into their families, would seethe at this betrayal, their anger echoing mine. Lila's support, Sophie's photo, Gloria's cheers fueled my resolve. I was reclaiming my place. Nathan's greed, tied to his failed business and wedding debts, drove his cruel plan, escalating our clash. Lila's visit, rooted in her birthday regret, solidified our bond, a spark of maternal love. Sophie's photo, tied to our baking Sundays, offered hope, a generational tie. Gloria's encouragement, shaped by her lost daughter, pushed me forward. Victor's will, his letter, affirmed my worth, protecting me from beyond. I gripped the photo, my resolve a steady flame. Did I lose my son, or did he lose himself? I murmured, the question soft against the jazz. Sophie's photo burned in my hand, Nathan's letter glaring. Dad's will is wrong. What was his next move? Nathan smashed my painting, snarling, "You don't get it, Mom!" Lila stood firm. "She's our mother!" Could I break his lies? Victor's voice, steady from years ago, rang clear. "You're stronger than they know, Ellie." His words fueled my courage, pushing me to face Nathan's cruelty. Confronting my son's cruelty. The coffee shop, Suburban Virginia, 2024, hummed with life. Jazz music drifted from speakers, a soft saxophone weaving through the clink of mugs. Wooden tables gleamed under large windows, the autumn light casting long shadows. Customers chatted, their voices a low buzz, making this public stage feel tense. Back home, my living room lay wounded, Victor's painting, my gift to him, shattered on the floor, glass glinting like my broken heart. I was Ellie Martinez, 73, a mother done with silence. Nathan's betrayal, pushing me at the funeral, slapping my papers, shouting at the market, had stoked my anger. His debts from a failed business and wedding I'd funded drove his greed, labeling me outdated, my sacrifices worthless. Lila, my daughter, 35, stood by me now, her remorse over missing her birthday a healed wound. Sophie, my 15-year-old granddaughter, sent texts of love, our baking Sundays her anchor. Gloria, my neighbor, 70, emailed encouragement, her own daughter's estrangement spurring her on. I'd expose Nathan, honoring Victor's trust. Anger burned hot, Nathan's destruction a fresh wound. Lila's defense, Sophie's support, hardened my resolve. Women like me, listening in their quiet homes, would feel this indignation, their hearts pounding at a son's cruelty to his mother. In the coffee shop, jazz notes swirled, the air thick with coffee and tension. I faced Nathan across a table, my painting, Victor's favorite, a sunset I'd painted, propped beside me. "Why erase me?" I demanded, voice steady. Nathan's eyes flashed, his hand slamming the painting to the floor. Glass shattered, the frame cracking. "You don't get how the world works, Mom," he snarled. Customers turned, mugs pausing mid-sip. Lila stood, her voice sharp. "She's our mother, Nathan." I trembled, my voice shaking. That was for Victor. My heart ached, the broken glass a mirror to my pain. I saw Nathan as a boy, paint smudged on his cheeks, laughing as I taught him to blend colors. His joy, now a bitter memory, clashed with his greed. Lila, silent during Victor's illness, had regretted her distance. Her absence at her birthday, a misunderstanding we'd mended. Her stand now was a gift, her voice fierce. "You're wrong, Nathan." The jazz swelled, a saxophone wail matching my hurt. Love, I thought, should build, not break, but Nathan was tearing us apart. At home, I swept up the painting's glass, my hands shaking. The radio played on, jazz fading to silence. Sophie's text lit my phone. I found Dad's letter, Grandma. Attached was a photo, Nathan's scrawl, "Dad's will is wrong." My breath caught. Gloria's email pinged. "You're ready, Ellie, don't back down." Her estrangement, a shadow of my pain, pushed me forward. James called, his voice calm. "Nathan's planning to contest the will. Be ready." I nodded. My resolve a steel thread, the broken frame at my feet. Nathan's destruction, smashing my painting before strangers, was a cruel blow. A mother's devotion mocked. The audience. Women who'd poured their hearts into family would clench their fists, outraged at his betrayal. Lila's defense, Sophie's text, Gloria's words were my armor. I wasn't just a mother scorned, I was Ellie, ready for the will reading. Nathan's greed, rooted in his failed business and wedding debts, fueled his cruelty, escalating our clash. Lila's defense, born of her birthday regret, solidified our bond, a spark of maternal love. Sophie's text, tied to our baking Sundays, offered hope, a generational tie. Gloria's encouragement, shaped by her lost daughter, urged me on. I gripped Sophie's photo, my resolve firm. Can a mother's love survive such cruelty? I whispered, the question sharp in the quiet room. Sophie's photo burned, Nathan's letter glaring. Dad's will is wrong. What was he planning? Nathan smirked in my dining room, sure he'd won. James held Victor's truth. Would it free me from my son's lies? Victor's letter, tucked away in my heart, burned bright. I saw their lies, Ellie. His words from that quiet night set the stage for justice. Facing justice together rain pattered against the windows of our suburban Virginia home, 2024, turning the dining room into a battlefield. Family photos, Victor and I laughing, Nathan's graduation, Lila's prom, loomed on the walls, their joy mocking my pain. The mahogany table, once alive with Thanksgiving feasts, now gleamed like a courtroom bench. Maya's typing, sharp and steady from her recorder, echoed, making the room feel formal, final. The air carried a faint scent of grilled chicken, a ghost of past dinners tightening my chest. I was Ellie Martinez, 73, a mother ready to reclaim my dignity. Nathan's betrayal, pushing me at the funeral, slapping my papers, smashing my painting, had fueled my resolve. His debts from a failed business and a wedding I'd helped fund blinded him, casting me as irrelevant. Lila, my daughter, 35, stood by me, her remorse over missing her birthday a healed wound. Sophie, my 15-year-old granddaughter, defied Nathan, her baking Sundays with me a bond of love. James Delgado, Victor's attorney, held the truth I'd fight for. Maya Patel, the community reporter, recorded it all, her presence adding weight. I was done being erased. Resolve coursed through me, strong as the rain outside. Lila and Sophie's support my anchor. Nathan's arrogance, his lies, would face Victor's truth. Women like me, listening in their homes, would lean forward, hearts racing for justice against a son's cruelty. I stepped into the dining room, my heels clicking on the hardwood. Nathan sat at the table's head, Victor's place, his suit sharp, his smirk sharper. "You're irrelevant now, Mom," he snapped, pushing my shoulder as I approached. I stumbled, my breath catching. Lila gasped, "Stop it, Nathan!" Her voice sharp. Sophie, by the doorway, clenched her fists, her eyes fierce. Maya, 40, set up her recorder, her typing loud, her face neutral but soft with empathy. James, 60, stood calm, his gray hair neat. "Victor's will differs from Nathan's claims," he said, his voice steady. I straightened, my heart pounding, the photos watching. I saw us, Victor and I, slow dancing at our 25th anniversary, jazz music swirling, promising to protect each other. Nathan, a teen then, had interrupted, demanding money for college, his voice sharp even then. Lila's regret, missing her birthday for Victor's hospital stay, now fueled her stand beside me. Her hand brushed mine, warm, steady. The rain outside drummed harder, matching my pulse. Love, I thought, should lift us up, not tear us down. Nathan's greed had broken that promise. James opened a folder, his eyes meeting mine. "Nathan tried to erase Ellie," he read. Victor's words cutting the air. He slid a USB into his laptop, Nathan's voice crackling. "Mom's unstable." Nathan leapt up, shouting, "That's fake!" His face reddened, his hands shaking. Lila gripped my hand, her voice low. "We're with you, Mom." Sophie whispered, "You're so strong, Grandma." Maya's typing sped up, her fingers a blur. I stood tall, my resolve iron, the photos no longer mocking but witnessing. James paused, pulling out Victor's diary, its leather worn. "There's more," he said, his voice calm. Nathan's push, his sneer. "You're irrelevant," stung like a slap, a public humiliation that would make any mother's blood boil. The audience, women who'd given their all, would clench their fists, outraged at his betrayal. Lila's grip, Sophie's whisper, James' steady voice were my strength. I wasn't just a mother scorned, I was Ellie, ready for truth. Nathan's greed, rooted in his debts and pride, fueled his arrogance, setting up his fall. Lila's support, born of her birthday regret, solidified our bond, a spark of maternal love. Sophie's encouragement, tied to our baking Sundays, deepened our generational tie. Victor's recording, his words, affirmed my worth, protecting me from beyond. I watched Nathan's smirk fade, my resolve a steady flame. "How deep did my son's betrayal go?" I murmured, the question sharp against Maya's typing. James opened the diary, reading. Nathan planned the funeral exclusion. What was the full truth? Victor's diary exposed Nathan's funeral scheme. I faced him. You erased me. Could truth restore my place as a mother? Victor's letter, its ink faded but fierce, echoed in my heart. You deserve respect, Ellie. His words from that quiet night empowered me to stand tall. Shaming lies in public. The dining room of our suburban Virginia home 2024 was a battlefield. Family photos, Victor and I at our wedding, Nathan's graduation, Lila's prom, lined the walls, their smiles mocking Nathan's betrayal. Rain pattered outside, a soft drumbeat against the windows. Maya's typing, sharp and relentless from her recorder, turned the room into a courtroom. A faint scent of grilled chicken lingered, a ghost of past family dinners, making the public stakes feel heavier. The mahogany table, once warm with laughter, gleamed coldly, reflecting my resolve. I was Ellie Martinez, 73, a mother ready to shame Nathan's lies. His cruelty, pushing me at the funeral, slapping my papers, smashing my painting, had forged my strength. His debts from a failed business and a wedding I'd helped fund drove his greed, erasing my sacrifices. Lila, my daughter, 35, stood by me. Her remorse over missing her birthday healed. Sophie, my 15-year-old granddaughter, defied Nathan, our baking Sundays her anchor. James Delgado, Victor's attorney, held the evidence I needed. Maya Patel, the reporter, recorded every word, her presence amplifying the moment. I was done being invisible. Resolve pulsed through me, a steady fire as Lila and Sophie's support lifted me. Nathan's lies would crumble under Victor's truth. Women like me, listening in their homes, would feel this moment, their hearts swelling with satisfaction as justice loomed. James stood at the table, his gray suit crisp, diary in hand. Nathan planned to exclude Ellie from my funeral, he read, Victor's words slicing the air. He played the USB, Nathan's voice crackling. "Mom's out!" Nathan leapt up, face red. "That's fake!" he shouted, grabbing my arm, his grip tight. "You failed, Dad, Mom!" My heart raced, pain flaring. Lila shouted, "I should have seen Mom's strength sooner." Sophie by the doorway added, "You hurt Grandma." Her voice, bold, cut through the room. Maya's typing quickened, her eyes soft but focused. I pulled free, my voice steady. "Victor saw your lies, Nathan." I saw Sophie and me in the kitchen, flour on our hands, baking cookies, her laughter bright as I shared stories of Victor. Nathan had walked in, dismissing them. Pointless. Lila's regret, missing her birthday for Victor's hospital stay, now fueled her fire. She'd stood silent then, but not now. Her shout echoed in my mind, a promise kept. The rain outside softened, but my resolve hardened. Truth, I thought, could heal a mother's heart, even one as broken as mine. James continued, his voice calm. "Ellie inherits the estate. Nathan gets $10,000 forfeitable if he contests." Nathan's face crumpled, his hands shaking. I stood tall, my eyes locked on his. "Victor saw your lies, Nathan." Lila gripped my hand, her pride warm. Sophie hugged me, whispering, "You're my hero, Grandma." Maya's typing slowed, her pen pausing as she watched Nathan slump. James closed the diary, his nod firm. Victor's wishes are clear. I felt light, near liberation washing over me, the photos no longer mocking but witnessing my stand. Nathan's arm grab, his justification, "You failed, Dad!" was a final betrayal, a public wound that would make any mother's blood boil. The audience, women who'd given their all, would cheer this moment, satisfied as Nathan's lies unraveled. Lila's shout, Sophie's defiance, James's calm delivery were my strength. I wasn't just a mother scorned, I was Ellie, reclaiming my place. Nathan's greed, rooted in his debts and pride, led to his shame. His exposure, complete. Lila's defense, born of her birthday regret, sealed our bond, a spark of maternal love. Sophie's defiance, tied to our baking Sundays, strengthened our generational tie. Victor's diary, his evidence, affirmed my worth, protecting me from beyond. I stood firm, Lila and Sophie beside me, Maya's typing a steady rhythm. Did I raise them, or did they erase me? I whispered, the question sharp against the rain's patter. Nathan's eyes met mine, desperate. Mom, please, let's talk, he pleaded, his voice breaking. Would I forgive him or walk away? I held Victor's watch, returning it to Nathan. For the son he deserved, not you. His plea echoed. Mom, please, could I walk away forever? Victor's letter, its words etched in my heart, guided me. Live your life, Ellie. His truth, revealed in his diary, gave me strength to stand tall. Reclaiming my dignity, light streamed through the dining room windows of our suburban Virginia home, 2024, warming the family photos on the walls. Victor and I at our wedding, Nathan's graduation, Lila's prom. The mahogany table, once alive with laughter over grilled chicken dinners, now stood quiet, a stage for my final stand. The faint scent of chicken lingered, a nod to those lost evenings. The room, bathed in light, mirrored my strength, no longer a courtroom, but a place of triumph. I was Ellie Martinez, 73, a mother reclaiming her dignity. Nathan's betrayal, pushing me at the funeral, slapping my papers, smashing my painting, had forged my resolve. His greed, fed by debts from a failed business and a wedding I'd helped fund, had erased me. Lila, my daughter, 35, stood proud, her birthday misunderstanding healed. Sophie, my 15-year-old granddaughter, defied Nathan, our baking Sundays her anchor. James Delgado, Victor's attorney, wrapped up his work, his calm, a steady hand. I was liberated, ready to sever ties and live for myself. Resolve melted into liberation. Lila and Sophie's support my wings. Nathan's plea, desperate after his lies, would not sway me. Women like me, listening in their homes, would cheer this triumph, their hearts full at a mother's victory. The dining room glowed, sunlight catching Victor's watch in my hand, its silver face glinting. Nathan sat slumped, his suit wrinkled, eyes hollow. This was for the son Victor deserved, not you, I said, my voice steady, placing the watch before him. You erased me, Nathan. I'm done. He grabbed my wrist, his voice breaking. Mom, please, we can work this out. Lila snapped, Let her go, Nathan, her eyes fierce. I pulled free, my heart steady. James, at the table's end, nodded, his gray hair catching the light. Victor's wishes are final, he said, his voice calm. I saw Victor and me, 25 years married, slow dancing to jazz in this room, buying this watch for our anniversary. Nathan, a teen, had admired it, his eyes bright, now dulled by greed. Lila's regret, missing her birthday for Victor's hospital stay, fueled her pride now. She stood beside me, her hand warm. You're our hero, Mom, she said, voice soft. The sunlight warmed my face, a promise of freedom. Love, I thought, should lift us, not chain us. Nathan had chosen chains. Sophie rushed to me, her hug tight. I'll always visit, Grandma, she whispered, her baking Sundays, with me a bond unbroken. James handed me estate papers, his smile kind. Victor would be proud. Lila squeezed my hand, her eyes shining. Sophie slipped me a photo of us baking, flour on our cheeks, captioned, My grandma, my hero. My throat tightened, tears pricking. I decided to sell the house, my voice firm. It's time for a new chapter. We walked out, Lila and Sophie beside me, sunlight on my face. the photos watching in silence. Nathan's plea, "We can work this out." After his lies, pushing me, smashing my painting stung, a last manipulation of my maternal love. The audience, women who'd sacrificed for their families, would feel this victory, satisfied as I broke free. Lila's pride, Sophie's hug, James's nod were my strength. I was Ellie, liberated, no longer a shadow. Nathan's greed, his shame now complete, resolved our conflict, his plea failing. Lila's pride, rooted in our healed birthday wound, reinforced maternal love. Sophie's hug, tied to our baking bond, deepened our generational hope. Victor's watch, a symbol of his protection, affirmed my worth. I tucked Sophie's photo in my pocket, my liberation bright. Did I lose a son or gain my freedom? I murmured, the question light in the warm air. I listed the house for sale, finding a realtor's note in Victor's handwriting on the table. What did he plan for my future? I sold our home, Victor's garden blooming for a new family. Sophie's photo warmed me. My grandma, my hero. Was this my true family? Victor's note, its ink bold, echoed in my heart. Live the life you want, Ellie. His words, paired with the realtor's note, guided my new chapter. Crafting my own path. Sunset Pines, my new home in suburban Virginia, 2024, felt like a fresh canvas. My one-bedroom apartment, its butter yellow walls glowing, held Victor's photo on the mantel, his smile steady. My art supplies, brushes, watercolors, sat ready on a table, a promise to myself. Outside, the community garden buzzed with chatter, roses and marigolds swaying in the autumn breeze. Residents' voices, laughing over coffee, drifted up, a chorus of renewal that matched my heart's lightness. I was Ellie Martinez, 73, a mother liberated at last. Nathan's betrayal, pushing me at the funeral, smashing my painting, grabbing my arm, had faded, severed by my stand. His greed, fueled by debts I'd helped cover, was his burden now. Lila, my daughter, 35, stood proud, our bond healed from her birthday misunderstanding. Sophie, my 15-year-old granddaughter, brought joy, our baking Sundays a tie that held. Gloria, my neighbor, 70, celebrated with me, her own daughter's estrangement a shared victory. I was living for myself, free at last. Liberation bloomed, bright as the garden below. Lila and Sophie's love my roots. Nathan's absence after his cruelty was a relief. Women like me, listening in their homes, would smile at this freedom, their hearts light with my triumph. I stood in the driveway of our old home, movers loading the last boxes. Lila packed beside me, her hands quick, her voice soft. "This is right, Mom." Sophie, kneeling in Victor's garden, watered his roses, her smile bright. "It's for a new family, Grandma," she said, her hands muddy. The realtor's note, in Victor's handwriting, lay in my pocket. "For Ellie's new chapter." My heart swelled, the roses scent sharp. I saw a young couple, the new owners, waving from their car, their toddler giggling. This was closure, a gift to them and me. I remembered Victor and me, years ago, sipping coffee in our kitchen, dreaming of a European cruise. Nathan's wedding costs had delayed it, his demands heavy. Lila's regret, missing her birthday for Victor's hospital stay, now fueled her help, her hands steady as she taped a box. We'd laugh then, Victor and I, promising adventures. "You'll see the world, Ellie," he'd said. I smiled, the memory warm, the mover's truck rumbling away. At Sunset Pines, I hung Victor's photo, Sophie's baking photo beside it, flower on our cheeks, her caption, "My grandma, my hero." Gloria visited, her gray hair loose, her eyes bright. "You inspired me, Ellie," she said, sharing her daughter's recent call, a bridge rebuilt. "You're free now." Sophie burst in, her backpack swinging. "I'll visit every week, Grandma," she promised, her voice bright. I signed up for watercolor classes, my fingers itching for the brush. The garden outside hummed, residents chatting, a book club forming. A cruise brochure lay on my table, Victor's note inside, "For my Ellie, sail free." Nathan's absence, after his push and destruction, was a quiet victory, his cruelty a shadow lifted. The audience, women who'd given their all, would feel this joy, relieved at my freedom. Lila's help, Sophie's promise, Gloria's cheer were my new family, bright as the yellow walls. Lila's pride, rooted in our healed bond, solidified maternal love. Sophie's visits, tied to our baking Sundays, deepened our generational tie. Gloria's celebration, born of her own reconciliation, lifted my spirit. Victor's note, his posthumous protection, affirmed my worth. I tucked the brochure away, my heart light. "Can new beginnings heal old wounds?" I murmured, the question soft in the warm room. I booked my cruise, finding a hidden ticket stub in Victor's note. What else did he leave me? My cruise ticket sat beside Victor's photo, his love guiding me. Maya's interview shared my truth. Was I finally free? Victor's letter, its words warm, closed my journey. "I love you always, Ellie." His cruise note echoed, a final gift, living my own story. Twilight bathed my balcony at Sunset Pines, suburban Virginia, 2024. The community garden glowed below, roses catching the fading light. Book club laughter drifted up, warm and lively. My apartment, butter yellow walls bright, held Victor's photo, his smile steady. Art supplies, brushes, watercolors, sat ready, a promise to myself. The air was crisp, filled with peace. I was Ellie Martinez, 73, free at last. Nathan's cruelty, pushing me, smashing my painting, was a shadow lifted. Lila, 35, my daughter, shone with pride, our bond healed. Sophie, 15, my granddaughter, shared my joy, our baking Sundays, unbreakable. Maya Patel, 40, the reporter, carried my story. Victor's love set me free. Liberation filled me, bright as the garden below. Lila, Sophie, and Sunset Pines were my family now. Women like me, listening, would feel this joy, inspired by my triumph. On my balcony, I packed for my European cruise, Victor's note, "Sail free," beside his photo. I toasted him with tea. We did it, Victor. A ticket stub from our first date fell from the note, warming my heart. Maya sat across, her notebook open, book club chatter below. "I was a wife, a mother, now I'm me," I said. Lila smiled. "You're my strength, Mom." Sophie added, "My hero, Grandma." My phone buzzed. Nathan's text, "Mom, let's talk." I blocked it, my fingers steady. I joined the book club, laughter rising, watercolor classes, and Europe ahead. The ticket stub, our first date's memory, sealed Victor's love. Nathan's absence resolved his betrayal, a relief. The audience, women who'd sacrificed, would cheer my freedom. Lila's pride, Sophie's devotion, Victor's stub reaffirmed maternal love. Lila's reconciliation, Sophie's baking bond, Victor's protection completed my family. I stepped onto the balcony, the garden alive. Did I raise them, or did they set me free? I whispered, the question light. My story was complete, Europe waiting. Standing in my living room, Victor's words, "Live your life, Ellie." And Sophie's photo warmed my heart, a promise of freedom after Nathan's betrayal. The pain of being cast out by my son, his lies exposed by Victor's will, taught me that family is not just blood, but those who see your worth. Maternal love, though tested, endures when we choose to stand tall, as Lila and Sophie showed me. In life, as long as we hold on to love and courage, we can redefine our bonds. I found my place not in a house, but in the hearts of those who truly care. If my story touched you, please share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your stories of family and strength.